Hello. This podcast is not for children, as you could probably tell by our little intro song there, where Stefan screamed holy fucking science really loud. It's a podcast in which four friends get together and we try to amaze each other by telling facts about the universe and our world and humanity, and also facts about how we discover those facts about those things, enough that someone else on the podcast will say,
holy fucking science!
Hey, thanks everybody. You really killed that one. I liked it. We are joined today by Sarah Meismer. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
How's it going?
It's gross because of research.
Oh, you did a lot of, so our what's our thing?
Oh, what's
Our
our
topic?
thing? Our topic is something that has been covered on another podcast that you do a lot.
Oh, yeah. I guess we do cover that a lot on Dear Hank and John.
Death.
Death. Whose idea was this?
I think it was Caitlin's, because I have a show that I'm focusing on right now that's about death, and it's called Death Happens, and it's kind of like weird ways to die. Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, Megan Toenyes is also here. And doing a new show called what?
Death Happens.
Death Happens. I like it.
Yeah. So it's more educational, kind of, but a little bit dark humor to keep
Nice.
it light. But it's really hard to, keep light. But I've only done 7 episodes so far. So, but it ranges from the kitchen, death by the kitchen, death by selfies, death by fame.
I was pulling into death by fame.
That's what I'm working on right now, and I'm very.
I guess
absorbed in it.
a lot of people have died by fame.
Yeah, it's
sad.
kind of. It's really sad. Yeah.
Kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy. I was just driving into work today, and the dumpster said, "Do not play in this dumpster," something like that. And I was like, good tip. I'm sure that there's a reason why that sticker's there, and it's not a happy story.
No, it's probably related to death.
Yeah, I don't want to be inside of a garbage compactor ever.
I was always taught that I would die if I played in the dumpster.
Really?
Yeah, so I was always afraid, don't go near the dumpster or the ditch.
No, ditches are also. I bet more people die in ditches than dumpsters.
Oh man, I've been in so many ditches.
Well,
no one told me that when I was a kid.
Well, but like irrigation ditch, or just a ditch.
I don't know.
Is there running flowing water in the ditch?
Yes.
Yeah, if there's running flowing water in the ditch, that's child death magnet.
I survived.
Wow.
I mean,
Congrats.
yeah.
Beat the odds.
Children and water, they don't mix.
No.
And there's a lot of backyards that back up to irrigation ditches, especially in this part of the world. And I feel like you're like, don't go into the ditch, and then one day they do, and then they just get swept into the thing. And I've always wanted to tube one of those ditches.
Yeah, we did that.
Did you?
Yeah.
You did? My goodness.
When we were little, yeah.
When you were little? How little is little?
10, 9.
Yeah, it's pretty little.
And how little was the ditch?
It was big enough to go through the little tunnels.
Oh, God, and get all the spiders on you.
Yeah, it's really gross. I look back at it now and I'm like, this is disgusting.
Did you ever cut yourself on
No.
accident? Hopefully
No,
not.
but we found lots of dead fish and that was gross.
Wow. See, I always wanted, I would see those tubes and stuff. I'd be like, I want to do that, but I didn't think anyone ever did.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's a good
Definitely a good
idea.
idea.
Good
Yeah.
to tell your children.
Yeah.
Not
Don't.
to.
But what happens is they inevitably, of course, get smaller and smaller as they go along, and eventually you can't fit anymore. So you have to get out. But hopefully that happens before your tube pops and you get swept under a submerged tree or something.
Yikes.
But I'm glad you're okay, Sarah.
Yeah.
We've also got Julie Walsh.
Hello.
Hi. This is your first time on Holy Fucking Science?
Yes, it is.
How's it going?
You get to burp and drink beer, I've
Yeah.
learned so far.
Have I burped?
You burped. Yeah.
Didn't even notice.
I don't
You
know.
went
No
right
idea.
through it. It was great. Yep. I think we all just.
I mean, I know you to be a burper, but I didn't know.
Jeez, yeah. I feel a little like there's a little too much. There's a little too much burping in my life. And
You're not the only. I feel like
I
all
know.
the SciShow hosts burp a lot.
well, I mean, when you're in the studio, it's very hard. You got to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And also, everybody's looking at you. You're center of attention. And it's like, fine, I'll just make this loud noise.
Make it a show.
But
Why not?
but I do I didn't really learn to burp until college.
What?
That's a weird statement. I definitely I burped. Though I have met people who I swear do not. And just all of it comes up the other end or something. They just refuse to burp. And so which seems
That's funny.
dangerous
It's
to me.
like the least offensive way to get stuff out, too.
I feel that way, but
Yeah.
but you know, to each their own. Like our understand, like taboos are cultural and weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to like make a loud noise while I burped until college, and I like learned that skill, and then have ever since. Now I am not. I guess I can still burp fairly silently, but now I love to burp
usually-
loudly, and I'm worried that since I have a child now that I'm just going to pass this on, and he's going to be in like 5th grade, just like belching up a storm.
And probably be one of the coolest kids around. you know?
Yeah,
That's
you
gonna
should be
No,
happy.
No, I
That's a
definitely don't
gift.
want a cool kid. He's not allowed to be cool.
Okay.
I need a nerd. I need to have given birth to a nerd.
I feel like a kid being cool through like enjoying his birth. I guess maybe that is kind of a.
It's like it's a bit of imposing yourself on everyone else,
Look at me.
which I definitely feel like I kind of do when I burp in public. I'm like, hey, look at me.
But it's pure. It's so pure.
It is. It's a kind of a joyous thing. I wish I could feel the same way about farts, but I really don't.
I know. Well, yeah. You do.
I can't just. I
You
can't
put it
like
on
just
our
be.
Christmas cards last year.
I can't just be proud of a public fart.
And when people do,
No, you should be. If no one knows it was you.
No.
No, like,
I
if they
want
know it's
people
you.
to know, like just like a burp. I
Okay.
want to be like,
Okay.
"Rah," and everybody be like, nice one. But I never will be.
Yeah.
I'll never feel that. Someday we'll all be there. I mean, in my own home.
Yeah.
I
sure.
can-
Yeah.
You know what happens when you die?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Segue.
Segue.
You get a segue?
No.
Free segue
This
for every
is the
dead person.
segue.
Opposite. You get a segue and then you die.
No. When you die,
The guy who invented segways.
I'm sure you fart because your
Yes.
bowels evacuate.
Yeah, you fart and poop and pee and
That'll be so. One of your last acts is like a proud
right.
So
Fart.
Yeah,
we
just
should be proud of
completely uninhibited, like literally the least inhibition you have ever had because your essence has fled.
So is that true? That happens every time
I think
you
that
die?
like maybe not if you've
A person
just evacuated your bowels, but I think that it's
Okay.
very common.
Okay. Just because
If you
I
die
wish
on the
that was-
toilet post poop, you probably don't.
I did an episode on death by the bathroom. Yeah. And that was a weird episode and weird research. But, like actually straining too hard has caused like cardiovascular complications and people have like heart attacks on the toilet sometimes or a lot of weird
No.
And
ways
then they
to
don't
go.
fart in the grave.
Yeah.
I wonder how long after you die do you do the big fart?
Is that what they call it? Like in the mortuary, they're like, we're still waiting on Mr. Anderson's big fart. He's not yet had his big fart. So
They can't risk it happening.
yeah, during the service. Oh God, Mr. Anderson. Yeah. Anyway, so our topic today is death. Now we've there's a connection between absolutely everything people do and dying. In that someone has died doing everything, pretty much. That's what you've got a whole show about it.
Yeah. Really limitless.
But we've all brought in our science facts about death. Something fascinating about death. I really am a fan of mine, and I think that we're gonna run it today by who's going to die the soonest goes first.
Ooh. How are we going to establish
What?
that?
Well, you just have to do it statistically.
Okay. You're older.
That's
and
pretty
you're
much it.
busier.
Busy
then
or
maybe-
older, more stressed out, and male. All things that
Yeah.
lead to death.
So you go first.
So I'm going to go first. You guys are all, so basically now you have to tell everybody how old you are. Now I feel like I've made a mistake, but I don't.
I'm the
Okay.
next oldest, I think.
I think so. We're very close in age.
Yes,
I'm
we are.
26, but I'm like a little bit older than Sarah.
Yeah, Megan and I went to high school together.
No,
we
like you were
did.
like
We
in
go
the
way
same
back.
class.
Yeah, we do.
Oh my gosh, and you're
So-
26. When you were in high school, I was making YouTube videos.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a professional YouTube video, and you guys were.
we were
in high
just learning
school.
what YouTube was.
Yeah.
It's good.
Did you guys watch
But-
YouTube when you were 16 in high school together?
I remember. I mean, we didn't say, Sarah, where are you? Let's watch YouTube because we're going to do this when we're older. We should get a head start on it.
What year was that?
But-
When you were was that like
In high
2006?
school?
When you were 16?
Yeah.
You were born in 90?
91.
91.
Okay.
So see, what was our first year? Like, we graduated in 09.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that was math.
I know. That's why I'm like,
artist.
Megan, go on. Tell us the year.
I think it was 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2006, there was
Yeah.
YouTube, but probably you weren't watching a lot of it.
I mean, we were watching, things like the Maya He.
Sure, yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
some of the, like the
Early viral videos.
Early viral videos,
Yeah.
yeah. And I like definitely saw your face. I didn't know who you were.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I
Back
mean,
then?
yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, yeah. It was like one of those familiar faces, but I wasn't like, Hank Green,
He lives here.
he lives here. I'm going to find him years from now and lock down a spot on his show.
And then quit and start my own thing. So you had it all planned out.
been my scheme, yes.
All right. Well, I guess since I'm the closest to death, I will go first. And who's last? Who's least close to death?
Well, if it's age,
If it's
I'm the
age.
youngest.
So yeah, okay. Well,
So if it's
congratulations on statistically being the one who will outlive us all.
Thanks.
Okay.
Congratulations.
But in addition to age,
Mhm.
Which is an important factor, there are things that help you know when you're going to die. And weirdly, like obviously if you've been diagnosed with cancer or if you have heart disease or if you've been diagnosed with a lung disease or like Alzheimer's or a liver disease or something like that, diabetes, like all these things are indicators of you will die more soon than the average person of your age. There is a weird one which has turned out to be extremely good at predicting imminent death.
Oh, no.
And by imminent, I mean in the next 5 years.
Oh my God.
So it's not like you're in a dumpster and there's going to be a guy crushing you soon. But in the next 5 years, the thing that is very surprisingly good at predicting imminent death is losing your sense of smell.
Oh, interesting.
So
Just like
this-
randomly? Like losing your sense of smell? Or
Basically, like from what we've studied so far, not having a sense of smell.
okay.
Oh, I have a friend who doesn't have a sense
No,
of smell.
but we'll get there. Your friend's okay.
Okay.
We'll get there. So this sounds weird, but like I checked, it's been peer reviewed. It's been replicated with different population groups. It's a thing.
Okay.
So the first study that looked at this robustly was published in 2014. Over 3,000 participants between the ages of 57 and 85 years old were told to sniff 5 common odors: rose, leather, fish, orange, and peppermint. And then after 5 years, and they just sort of like, if they were able to correctly identify all 5, then they had normal, healthy smell. If they could correctly identify none of them, then they were basically said they were doomed.
Yeah.
And then after 5 years, they tracked down these 3,000 people again. I don't know if I said they were between the ages of 57 and 85 years old. At this point, after 5 years, 12.5% of them had died, because that's what happens to people sometimes, unfortunately. But those who had a perfect sense of smell, only 10% of them had died. So if you had if you could identify correctly all of the scents, if you could identify none of the scents, 39% of those people were dead.
But it's normal 12.5%?
So normally, over the entire group, 12.5% of the people died. For the people who had bad smells, almost 40% of them were dead. Like had died.
Wow.
Which is, that's like a pretty, like usually you will hear things like, the chances of dying increased by, like it doubled or something. But if the chances of death are like 2% and then you had a 4% chance of death, like 4% chance of death is not great. But if you're in your 60s, like people die. But this is like a 40% chance of dying if you had lost your sense of smell when the first time they studied you. You're 4 times more likely to die than the people who had a completely normal sense of smell. It was a more accurate predictor of death in the next 5 years than a diagnosis of cancer or a diagnosis of heart disease or a diagnosis of lung disease like COPD. So that's super weird and amazing. And why?
Yeah.
So here's why. Here's why they think. So the olfactory nerve is the only nerve in your body that is exposed to air. Like it's the only part of your nervous system that comes all the way and like is hanging out with the environment. And because of that, it can get damaged a bunch. And because of that, it's the only part of your nervous system that actually regenerates itself. So most of you, like you can create new nerves, but for the most part, from what we can tell, like your nerves don't replace themselves with new nerves. Like you might get a new nerve, but it's not going to like take over for an old one, except in your olfactory system. So your olfactory nerve actually has stem cells that replenish and replace the existing nerve cells so that you can continue to have a sense of smell, because otherwise the environment would degrade it, whether it was through infection or through physical trauma of one kind or another. And so that's like, I didn't know that about the olfactory nerve, and that's fascinating. But it turns out like, since this like stem cell regeneration is happening in your olfactory nerve, if it stops happening, you lose your sense of smell. And it seems like that stops happening when other things are going wrong. And that can be neurological disorders. So like with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, one of the first symptoms is often losing your sense of smell. But it goes beyond that, where like this is an early indicator of having that disease, which could be fatal. And you might not know that you have Alzheimer's yet. You might just be thinking like, oh, I'm getting old.
So that's typically it's a sign of mental illness?
It could be a sign of neurological degenerative disorders, but it can also be a sign of mental illness.
Okay.
So people who have bipolar disorder or major depressive disorders also can sometimes report a loss of sense of smell, which is super weird. And it turns out like how are those things connected? Yeah. But it turns out that like it's part of your nervous system's self-repair systems. And that's a really good sign that your nervous system isn't repairing itself, which also might be a sign that your body isn't repairing itself. Okay. It might be a sign of something else going wrong, a huge variety of broad things going wrong, enough that you should probably be on the just updating your health insurance or your life insurance policy. Yeah. So
that's fascinating.
This is not the case if you lose your sense of smell through trauma or through like repeated sinus infections, which is probably the case with your friend Sarah. I don't know how your friend lost their sense of smell.
He doesn't know either.
Okay.
So who knows?
But there's you can get scarring, whether that's from a bunch of sinus infections or whether it's from getting punched in the face. And that is not related to this. So if that's how you lost your smell, my mother-in-law doesn't have a sense of smell because she got 18 sinus infections in a row. But this is it's a sign that your body just isn't regenerating itself the way that it used to.
So is this the thing that you can be like, hey doc, this is happening, can we fix it? Or is this a thing that's hey doc, there's nothing you can do. What do you want in the will?
Yeah, you probably should go see a lawyer. It definitely is a significant enough symptom to mention to a doctor. So if you've lost your sense of smell, that might mean that you want to get tested for Parkinson's or for Alzheimer's, especially if you're over 60 years old. But other disorders it's a significant symptom. And there are also things that maybe doctors can do about it. So not being able to smell is just a decrease in quality of life. You don't enjoy food as much. You don't enjoy that's a sense that you've lost. So there are things that doctors can do sometimes for people who have lost their sense of smell. And it also can be a symptom of a bigger problem that you can then treat. Parkinson's is something that it's a degenerative disorder, but there are treatments that can help you have and increase your quality of life. But also they're looking at this and saying well, is this actually a diagnostic tool that we can use? Because it doesn't necessarily tell you what's wrong with the person, but it tells you that whatever's wrong with them is pretty bad because the body has stopped repairing itself. So they are thinking about doing that. And it's obviously a pretty easy test. You just have to have a couple of vials of essential oils or whatever and be hey, does this smell like peppermint to you? And if they say no, then be well, maybe let's do some more tests.
It's a vital sign that we'd never treated as a vital sign before. So
weirdly canary in the coal mine kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully the life insurance people don't get a hold of this. Because they're going to be smell this and then sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I did my 23andMe, several people, I think you may have told me about this, that you were well, be careful because it's possible that once you do this, the life insurance people will sort of know
once you look at your medical leanings or whatever. You unlock the medical information in the report.
Yeah, of your genome.
Yeah.
Then you know things that can affect.
How would your life insurance get a hold of that information?
I don't know.
I think there's a certain amount of you're required to disclose things.
And then
if you have certain diseases
expensive?
that you might not know you have.
You can be denied. There's no law saying you can't be denied because of what your genome says.
Yeah, and life insurance you can get denied like crazy.
Okay.
So it's terrible.
It's not like health insurance is right now and hopefully will remain for at least a little while.
Yeah, I was thinking about if health insurance got bad, being like, hey, if your sense of smell goes, that's one of the ones that's worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Just lie.
Like pre-existing condition, you can't smell anymore.
I mean, we've all got a pre-existing condition. Mm-hmm. Burping really loud. Just being obsessed with death.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh man, tell you what, just keep sniffing stuff.
Can you go back to the beginning of that? And what were they actually trying to study?
That's what they were trying to study.
Whether
there have been indications previously that this was the case, and they were like, we need to do a big cohort study to see if it's for real. And they did another study in Sweden. Where they studied 1,700 Swedes from age 40 to 90 and had similar results.
Oh man, Sweden's the best. They have so much data.
Yeah,
they do. And the other one was I think a British study, and they have like a big long study that they're doing on British citizens, and this was like, give us 3,000 of your people and we'll have them sniff stuff, and they also know a lot about these people and what they died of and their medical history. So they haven't. What they didn't do that I would be curious to see is say, okay, these people who did die after not being able to smell well, what did they die of? Mm-hmm. Did they all die of, neurological disorders, or did they die of just everything broadly, spread out for the same way that normal people die of? Or was there a specific thing that was more likely to be the cause of death if you lost your sense of smell?
Mm-hmm. Spoiled food or
eating poop because you were like, I don't know, it seems fine to me now.
Megan, can you die from eating poop?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes. You can die from eating bananas if you're dedicated.
Okay.
Yeah, you can die from.
But yeah, you could die from eating poop.
Yeah.
Clostridium, man, that's no good.
Ooh.
Or even E. coli getting in the water in places or something too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how cholera spreads. But if you don't have cholera, you're not going to get cholera from eating your own poop. But you can get, weirdly, you can get diseases that you don't have from eating your own poop. Because there's stuff that should be in this area that should not be in this area. Mm-hmm. The bottom area is separated from the top area. You don't want to put the bottom area stuff in the top area.
I have stuff to say about that later.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Well, we won't go any more. It won't go any deeper.
You can if you like.
Won't go any deeper into eating
just
poop.
Teasing that.
That's Sarah's whole thing. Yeah. Back off.
It's good. It's good. We were like death, and Sarah was like, "Oh, I got this bunch of stuff about poop eating."
That seems on brand for.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've all eaten poop. Let's be honest.
Probably.
We do.
It's on our toothbrushes if you leave them out.
That's right.
It's
everywhere.
So you can survive eating poop too.
Yeah,
oh,
die
definitely.
From it,
you can definitely survive eating some poop.
Just don't overdo it. Like with anything, moderation.
John got sick, and they went to the doctor, and he was like, "What's wrong with me?" And they were like, "You have this." I don't remember what it was, and he was like, "How did I get that?" And he was like, "Usually it's from consuming dog feces." And he was like, "Well, I have eaten zero dog shit." And the guy was like, "Do you have a dog?" And he was like, "Yes." And he was like, "You've eaten dog shit."
So you've eaten dog shit. You've eaten dog shit. You've eaten. I have.
I love this show. It's so much fun.
Who needs to burp? Someone burp.
I'm not there yet. I'm not a good burper.
I burped silently while Hank was talking.
Oh, I burped too.
Actually.
You don't want to hear. Well, we're all drinking. Mm-hmm. Our sponsor for this episode, who I'm sure is so proud to be associated with our content, is Big Sky Brewery. I'm drinking Summer Honey. It's the seasonal summer ale. It is summer in Montana like it has never been summer in Montana before. It's going to hit like 106 this week. Mm-hmm. And I live in Montana. That's not what I signed up for.
Yeah,
oh
but
my God.
It's better than -20
I disagree
Really?
deeply.
Really?
I live in Montana. It's supposed to be -20.
Yeah, and
at least once a year. And I
it's supposed to
signed
be
up for
100.
it being -20.
I mean,
it's not supposed to be
You
106.
signed up for a desert, which is gonna be.
There is a lot of variation.
Yeah.
Yes, we live in it. We live in a desert, a weird mountain desert.
I will say 2 weeks is a little long.
It's been so hot
been-
for
yeah,
so
It's
long.
terrible.
Yeah, it's so hard to do video work. And
Yeah.
like my house, I have a air conditioner, but it still gets so.
Well, you have to turn it off when you're filming.
Yeah.
And then you forget to turn it
And
back
then you
on until you're
sweat
just like covered in moistness.
And then you die that way.
Yeah.
Everybody dies.
All right, we gotta move on to our next closest to death person, Julie Walsh.
Hello. I'm
Yay,
closest to
Julie.
dying after Hank.
I thought you were actually, like, before you went into the whole nasal thing, I thought you were going to have a test for all of us to do to see who was going to die next. And I was like, what is this? Some sort of tarot card reading?
That'd be good.
But
No, that's a really good fake phony science we should develop and like pitch to people and sell.
maybe.
Because that's all. It's all about capitalism, baby. It doesn't matter if it's real.
Second business idea of this session. The first one was before we started recording.
Yeah. All right, sorry I interrupted.
Can I ask
Julie.
one more question about your study, Hank?
Yeah, sure.
Before we talk about my subject. What did they do about all the poor people who they knew were going to die and then they didn't tell them that's why they were testing them and then they died? And they were like, oh, we knew you were going to die. Or we
They
had a
didn't know they were
feeling
going to die.
We had
It's
a feeling
It's
you were
40% of
going
people.
to.
So like most of the people who couldn't smell survived.
True.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, what would you do now if you even if you did know? Because they didn't really know at that first study. But like,
Yeah, I just
when
wonder.
you're
like,
sniffing, you're like, hey, just so you know, you are 4 times more likely to die in the next 5 years than the average person of your age.
go to a doctor. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway.
Hopefully they said that, but I don't think they did.
Maybe they spun it like you're a super taster kind of thing, but like in a.
You're a super taster, by which I mean you can smell nothing.
You're special.
You're special.
I was trying this morning when I was studying this, I was trying to figure out what the word was for something that was invisible but for smells. So we have invisible, we have inaudible, we have tasteless or bland, but they don't have a word for unsmellable.
Maybe it's just
Unsmellable.
Unsmellable.
It just
But
doesn't sound
unsmellable to me is
fancy.
like odorless. No, because odorless is a thing that I guess it is
is
odorless. Yeah. I guess. Never mind.
Who said that?
Wow.
I mean, I'm glad Stefan said it so that not all the
Yeah.
people at home were like, who are these fucking idiots that can't think of the word odorless? I thought about it for like 15 minutes this morning. I was incapable of coming up with odorless.
You were convincing. I was believing you.
Yeah, I
We'd
guess
have to make
odorless
a
is
new
the
one.
word for invisible smell. smell visible, insmellable. Odorless. Well,
Julie.
Okay. Back to me. So I watched Megan's 7 episodes about ways you can die, which made me really nervous about being alive still.
I know. I'm sorry.
And so I'm going to talk about something that happens after you die, which brought me great comfort, actually.
Ooh.
the big fart.
Fart. I really hope that's a thing. Okay, we can't do fart jokes if I'm going to talk.
Sorry, go.
It's my weak spot. Okay, have you guys heard of adipocere? Anyone?
Adipose what?
Adipocere.
No.
Yes.
No, maybe. I
Yeah.
feel like I've heard something
Feel-
about this.
Yeah.
Also known as corpse wax. I like to think of it as natural mummification.
Ooh.
If your body is buried under the right circumstances or the circumstances present themselves after you're buried, moist and muddy, maybe you're buried in the bottom of a lake or something, you might find that a couple years later, your body has stopped decomposing and is instead encased in a waxy substance that is your fatty acids turned to basically soap.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then could I like scrape
But-
it off and wash myself
Yes. So
with it? All right, I'm in.
you can make use of
Can
it.
I eat it?
This is going to be our third business idea,
is gonna be
actually,
I was
by
like,
the time
this
we're
is
done with
expensive
this.
soap.
So
That does sound like expensive soap.
your mom makes soap.
She does. And when I first moved to Montana, I was like, could we make soap from bear fat and sell that in Montana and be like, bear soap?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
You could, but you
With
would be an
huckleberries.
asshole.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, would I be an asshole or would I just be using all of the animal?
That's true.
Because people kill bears.
Get
And
the
then,
most.
I mean, how much does bear tallow cost?
Probably exists.
Bear tallow?
Tallow
there's
is
a-
like the fat of an animal.
There's a website that you can put in all the different. They have like a list of all the different types of fats and a list of all the different types of like scents and stuff that you can like check.
Right, so you can pick, but I don't know that they'd have carnivore fat available. Dudes, let's make bear soap. We have so many business ideas.
Bear soap.
Bear soap made from the fat of a dead bear that I killed with my hands, by which I mean a gun.
I use my hands with the gun.
I used my hands on the gun.
People kill bears.
Yeah.
They probably don't use all the fat.
That's right.
Might as well put it to use.
Cool.
$21.
We'll
Sorry.
have to talk about that after this show.
We just
Okay.
revealed that idea. So
Well, but we have to
someone else
move
is
quick
gonna do it
before the
fast.
episode comes out.
But all the Patreon people.
That's
They're on
fine.
it
They're
already.
they're investors.
Yeah, that's what
It's
you
true.
get. You get when you join the Patreon.
The Patreon, yeah, when
Get
you
business
watch
ideas.
along, yeah, and you can steal those from us in the if you want to.
We'll only take 25% off the top. So
We don't have to do any of the work.
so we were talking about using this corpse wax. So it was accidentally used once as candle wax.
How?
The,
How do you
accidentally use
like, whoops, I slipped. in
So
the
this
bottom
guy's
of
about
a
to give a
lake.
public lecture about a mummy he's found
Okay.
or he has, and he thought that this waxy substance was from the embalming process, and he used it to make candles to light the lecture hall when he
Right.
gave this talk. That is
and it worked.
maybe a legend. He is
Okay.
said to have. It's not.
Yeah, because I feel like if you're not gonna like you can't make a candle out of soap. Like you can't like light
Well,
soap
it's
on
wax.
fire.
It's like wax though, and you make candles out of wax.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway,
put in
his
the
name's
wick.
August Granville.
I don't know enough
Augustus
about it.
Granville. You guys can look him up.
Okay.
But anyway, like I said, some of these bodies come up after earthquakes
Ooh, that
because
was-
they get released from the bottom of rivers, such as the Clark Fork, perhaps.
Has this happened?
No, but it could because we had
holding my breath.
we had an earthquake last week. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe that guy who drove off the Taco Bell.
The Taco John's guy. I think that they found him.
I don't
I think he
know.
was still in his car.
Maybe. I didn't catch
I
that.
like this mystery, Julie.
We a few years ago, we had a guy drive out off the parking into through the parking lot of the Taco John's into the river, and he didn't make it.
Have they added a fence?
There's a fence there
Okay,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
By the way, can we end this podcast with all the crazy stories we heard of people dying? Because I keep
Yes.
thinking of them.
There's so many. Yeah.
Sarah, you've been thinking of them for like weeks.
Poor Taco
Yes, I
John's.
have.
I know.
I think about that guy like all the time. The worst.
I go to that Taco John's like 2 times a week, and every time I'm like, "Hello, river." I remember that when there was a crane dragging that car out of the river, and had a man in it.
He probably had a fart.
No, God, I mean, Julie, rein it in. Have some respect for dead Taco John's guy.
We're talking about dead people this whole time. Why do we have to give
I don't
respect
know, because
to the one
this is a
Taco
specific one.
He hadn't gotten his Taco John's yet, so he probably didn't have
Oh my God, you guys, delete, edit, undo.
Did we suddenly become offensive?
Holy fucking science.
How far can we go?
A little bit.
Let's see. This turning the corpse and turning into soap caused problems for people in Germany who like to recycle grave plots every 25 years, which seems kind of quick.
I mean, there's only so much space.
I know,
I guess
that's
there's
true.
but like, just put somebody on top. You don't have to take them out.
I mean,
Wait, is that what they do?
Every
I don't
25
actually
no, they
know
don't
much
do
about.
that.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean,
I think there's probably some logistical reason why you wouldn't. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well,
Angry families.
yeah. Well, every 25 years. That's the thing about graveyards, though. Like, they're not going to be there forever. That's how time works. Sorry. I went to the Missoulians website, and of course, it played an audible ad because I hate local news websites so much. Oh, okay. Anyway.
Well, I was in the graveyard in Boston. There was just like the one where not Ben Franklin, but his relative is buried in.
Okay.
And it was like this one building's worth of a plot of land. And they said like 12,000 bodies were buried there because they've all been swapped around so many times. And they used to pile the bodies up in the winter while the ground was still frozen and then chop them up and then just like bury them all when the ground got soft again.
In Boston?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I have a friend who's a gravedigger here in Missoula, and they have to stop for like a couple of months a year. And used to get laid off every winter, and then they'd rehire him. So he never like accrued like vacation time or so. But now he's like full-time groundskeeper there. But like they have to sort of keep bodies for a while sometimes.
Maybe they should just dig extra holes during the summer.
I've never brought that up with him, but I'm sure there is a good reason why they don't do that.
I'm sure you're right.
Well, 'cause, you still have to fill it.
But they
in
also like they can use a ground warmer, which is a thing that exists. You like put it on the ground and it heats up the ground and you can dig.
Wow.
Nice. We should just do that all winter. Whole Missoula.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I have one at my house, please?
Right?
Yeah.
I don't have much more to say about this
Yeah,
except
of course
it makes it hard for you to tell how long the body has been dead. The person
Right.
has been dead, which makes it hard to determine whether this is going to be a criminal investigation or just a historical relic, which I thought was interesting.
Because once you get your corpse wax on, you're basically mummified.
Yeah, but it could have. Yeah, they found cherry pits in this guy's stomach that were preserved, and they could tell what he had eaten.
Why do
On
you
top
just
of
eat
that?
a cherry pit?
That's probably not what killed him, but maybe.
Is that what
Dog
people
poop
used to
and
do?
cherry
Did they
pits.
just used to eat cherries whole and just swallow the pits?
That's sad. That's like the one thing we know about this person.
Is it
that
because he loved cherries so much and he just couldn't handle it?
Just
He was
clogged
just
up
like,
his stomach.
yeah, he didn't even chew the cherry, just swallowed them like pills.
See someone thinking that'd be good for them.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
That's
know.
super weird.
Yeah. It also makes it hard to learn much about the body because you learn about the person from their bones, apparently, their age and how, their gender. But this soap is really hard to get off the bones. So
it goes over the bones and it goes.
I think it's
Does it come
I think
from
it's-
the bones or like
It comes from the tissues.
okay?
yeah, it's the fat. So
That's right.
So
Okay.
women, children, and people who are overweight have a more likelihood of this happening to them,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
which I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Except that you take up so much space forever.
I want to be a tree, dang it.
I know.
Why do I have to be a
big bar
a
of
corpse
soap.
forever?
I know. I have like a very obvious solution for the German people.
What
It's
is
like
it? Wait.
cremation.
Yeah. Wait,
Although
what German people?
The ones who like couldn't turn the graveyard around
Oh,
quickly
right.
enough
Yeah.
because
Well, yeah,
the
but that's
bodies
not
were still
that. They
there.
weren't into that back then.
Yeah, but this was like 2008.
Never mind. They were into that back
Maybe
then.
they still aren't. I don't know.
Well, I think there's a bunch of reasons. Like, people want to be buried. I don't really get it. Especially if there's a 25-year turnover.
Yeah.
Like, no. Put me in a little box. It's going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
Like, at least 26 years.
I mean, yeah, there's like cultural reasons why you wouldn't want to be cremated. There's also, like you're releasing all your carbon.
Yeah. I guess.
Okay.
I don't think that's probably why
I'm not-
all the
I'm
German
not super
people.
concerned about that. Of the carbon I've produced in my
Yeah.
lifetime, I feel like my cremation will be a fairly small part.
That's true, but those mushroom death suits are really cool.
Those mushroom death suits?
Yeah.
What's that?
There was a TED Talk about this lady who was engineering fungi to decompose humans safely.
So you like put on this special fungus suit and go into your
And there's also
cardboard box.
like tree versions where you get certain things that you are buried with
Right.
that helps make you into tree food. And then like
That's
a tree
cool.
seed.
Into that. We should all do that, right?
Or
No,
just
what I want to do is somebody put me in a glacier so that the future scientists can find me and be like, look at all the cherry pits this guy ate.
Yeah. And you'll be preserved well. And then you'll just be like, I'm back. Oh.
Sorry, you were too far away from your mic.
I forgot that the mic was there, and I thought you're just
Why are
touching
you
my
kidding
chin with your
me?
foot. I was like, no. Get that away. But, yeah, that'll be special. Now I'm back. I'm here
You're
now.
making it real hard for Stefan now. I love that there are like glacier men that have been found, and I'm like, put me in a bog.
Yeah.
So that I can be
That's pretty cool.
mummified
That's
and
pretty badass.
people can find me 5,000 years from now and be like, look at what these dorks wore.
We're going to be buried in.
Yes, it's this hoodie. I've had it for a long time now. It's really nice. It's kind of falling
I like
apart.
that it's
but
100 degrees out right
I
now.
know.
And that's
Why are you wearing that?
I don't know. When I got up this morning and went for a walk at 6:30 because I have a child, it was like 62 degrees.
Yeah.
So that's why I was wearing it.
pleasant.
Welcome to the desert. All right.
Is that all your soap stuff?
Megan,
I feel like I'm
Toenyes.
still so curious about it. I was going to talk about near-death experiences and the studies on that a little bit. So I feel like you know a bit about this too, so hopefully we can like ping pong a bit. But I just started like, I was listening to a podcast about it because since I've been doing so much research about just like weird ways people have died, it's depressing after a while. So you're like,
Tell me some weird ways people haven't died.
right? Yeah, exactly. Or just like, yeah, like them coming back, like, oh, there's hope. But a lot of near-death experiences are all really, really similar. And there's a lot of different like theories and studies that have like ideas of why they are what it is. But, you know, people say that a lot of times they'll float above their bodies and say that they've been viewing the world from like high up, or they go towards a light. A lot of people report a sense of like connectedness and feeling like sudden like we're all one thing. But different cultures, different religions like influence what people's interpretations of all this is. And what they think a lot of it is that there's say this correctly, the
Parietal?
Yes.
Psych degree.
Ooh.
Did you guys know I had one?
No, but I'm so glad you do. So
I
you can
did
say
know
that word.
I never get to use it.
Temporopariatal.
Junction. See, you say the first word. I say the second
Temporopariatal.
word. Junction.
All right.
And that's assembles the data from the senses to the organs. And so if that gets damaged, it creates the sensation of out-of-body experience. And they also think that a lack of CO2 affects your vision and creates that kind of like going towards a light type thing.
Yep.
And lack of oxygen causes hallucinations. Brain in distress can cause a rush of endorphins, which creates that sense of peace that everybody kind of reports having. And but it's so fascinating because even like scientists, some of them think that consciousness isn't necessarily like in the brain, or it's in the brain but not completely connected to
Not all the brain.
yeah, because people will report having, you know, gone out of their body and they saw this. This one woman saw a tennis shoe on this ledge 3 stories up in the hospital, and the social worker went up and saw it there. And just like some weird spooky stuff like that. So they started actually doing studies where, since people, have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So they started doing this study where they actually added shelves like high up so that nobody could see, and they put like some different pictures up there.
Yeah, I was
You've heard
just
about this?
Earlier today reading about a nurse who just decided to start putting playing cards on top of things.
Yeah, some kind of
to
like
see
that.
if anybody would see the like, and no one ever told her they saw.
Yeah.
No one ever said
Yeah,
anything about the playing cards, but
So there was this one that they actually did a test like that, and
Yeah.
they put pictures
Right.
above the wall to see if anybody would actually float up and see them.
weird.
And but because it's such a niche like thing to study, and the chances of it happening are kind of like few and far between.
Right.
So it's like of 2,000-ish people that had the cardiac arrest, 330 survived, and only like 140 were able to have an interview. And then like
Right.
of that 140, like there was 109 who experienced the near-death experience, like
Okay.
the typical like
That's pretty.
going,
That's pretty
yeah.
pretty large percentage of the people you talk to.
Exactly. And then there was one subject who could recount what he had seen in detail, and that one he said that it was a 57-year-old man who described floating up to the corner of the room and saw the medical staff working on him, and described in detail like what they were doing, and it was spooky, and because it was what they were doing. So things like that.
I'm surprised by how few of those 1,000 people survived. That's a bummer. That's bumming me out. I figured more people survive a cardiac arrest than that.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
we're all gonna die. But
They're like, do you want to be part of this study?
let us know if you see something up there.
Hello, currently dead. Hello, person who's about to die. I would need you to tell me if you see anything on the shelf up there while you're dead.
Before you come back, hopefully.
Yeah. Some of the studies that they do, like that they're studying this whole like consciousness and stuff. There was another study I was reading about that she wasn't expected to survive the surgery, so they were like, "What the heck? Let's just like freeze you, basically, and then she'd have more of a chance to come back." I'm not using the most correct scientific words with this, but like that lady had a very intense near-death experience, I guess, because she was actually dead. Because they were triggering like 100 beats per minute. That's not right, but they were like putting sound in her ears so that the brain would actually stay stimulated, even though she was like
Medically dead.
Yeah, medically dead. So anyway, but she recorded a near-death experience too, and they're all just really similar, and it's really bizarre. And there's a lot of science on it.
The happy, peaceful ones make me really hopeful, but I feel there's another portion of the population that report like terrible like demons and like bad things happening. Yeah.
I didn't
like
dive
that.
deep into those ones because I'm not like ready for that.
I don't like
it's
it.
Takes oh yeah. Well, it's the nice thing about being I at least don't have to worry about hell with my worldview.
Yeah.
I also
same.
don't have the nice feeling of being like, oh, maybe I'll get to live forever in a nice place.
Honestly, that freaks me out more. I remember being a kid and like having that realization of forever. Like, have you guys like that sensation of actually imagining like living forever and like how I don't want
like
to.
kind of intense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's just
I've
too
liked
much.
it so far.
There'd be so many businesses.
I want to be
you
around
could
for
make.
deep space travel. That's the one thing I'm mad about.
Sure.
It's like, we're going to get there, but it's so far away from right now.
Yeah. That's my main thing is, well, I mean, right now, as a person who's not going to die soon, that's my main thing. I'm sure that when I'm like close to death, my main thing will be like, but I want to see like my son grow up or have my grandchildren grow up or I want to, but right now I'm basically like, what about all the music I'm not going to get to listen to? What about all the like cool, weird media that will be created after I'm dead? What about all the science that will happen that I won't get to know about?
But it's what you're contributing to it now.
Sure. And it's true. And most science I don't know about even now.
Exactly.
And most media I don't consume. And most grandchildren I don't watch grow up because I don't know who they are because they're somebody else's grandchildren.
Yeah.
Just you guys.
That's a lot of pressure on Oren right now.
That's right. You better. We waited forever to have him. So if he has grandkids, we'll be old. All right. One final weird death thing coming to us from Sarah Meismer.
Yes.
Something about poop.
Well, it's about a lot of things. So I had kind of two ideas that I couldn't decide between. And so I'm going to do them both a little bit. And it's about the things inside of you when you're dying. Poop is one of those things. Yeah. But have you guys heard about the 21 grams dude? The soul is 21 grams.
Yeah, like weighed people at the moment of death or something. I feel like I watched a movie about this when I was a kid.
There was a movie.
And it was creepy and I liked it and believed and I was like
I didn't
into
watch
it.
the movie.
And then I like a few years later I was like, I like bought into that.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's what part of what made it interesting to me is because I was like, oh yeah, wasn't there like that guy that weighed? And it was like, oh, maybe the soul exists because he was weighed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this guy, Duncan McDougall,
good name.
April 1907, decides that he wants to try and prove that the soul has weight. That's back when they were like, oh yeah, the gravitational masses and the ether. So he's like, soul's definitely not ether because it can be separated out in your body. I don't know, which is the logic, I guess. So he installed a bed in his office, like with a scale underneath it, and his sample size was 6 people, and he threw out 2 of the results because he was like, we weren't ready. They died too quick.
Yeah.
But the other 4,
Yeah, it's a little sad. I mean, how do you get? It's weird. Is he weighing them all the time? Like they're just on a scale.
yeah.
And
So
he's like got this dead, like, I don't know. It seems unethical to me to have a dead
Yes,
person and
yes.
be like, all right, die. Like, I don't want to save you. I want to weigh you.
yeah, the 5 of them had TB. He's like, it'd be ideal if we could get people who don't move a whole lot, towards the end here. So they got 5 people with TB and 1 woman in a diabetic coma, I think.
Okay, that's a good one. No, she's not moving at all. Sorry. Is that insensitive?
No, I mean, it's just
Comas,
real.
I mean, comas are, you don't move a whole lot, I assume.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Chill.
so one of the subjects apparently lost weight at the moment of death, which is also another thing. It's like,
It's just a big
when
fart.
do you die? Yeah.
Yeah.
He marked down if they had a bowel movement. And then he also said that he took into account the amount of sweat that was being...
Wow. Yeah.
He was very proud of his scale, but it was like the kind of scale that you step on at like the doctor's office with like the little, there's a beam scale, which is not, if anyone who has used a beam scale knows that it's not the most, you like shift a little bit and it's like,
Yeah.
and then you're sad or you're happy or whatever. But anyway, so one person of his 6 subjects lost weight immediately. And then the New York Times was like, whoa, breaking news, like, man discovers soul.
From one person.
Yeah,
That
from
farted
one
real
person.
big.
And there were 2 other people that lost weight and then lost more weight. But my favorite thing about this story is
My
that,
soul left, and then my other soul left.
yeah, or like it was
Real
just
complex.
going slowly, it's like in pieces.
Kind of seeping out.
But my favorite part about the story is that if the soul has weight, then it's not going up. It's like rolling off of the bed and going down.
That is a good point. Just like your poop would.
Mm-hmm.
Just like sort of.
If you poop out your soul,
Gravity.
you're going to hell.
What? Wait, is that a rule?
That's why we poop out our soul. That's it.
That's the big fart.
Yeah. I mean, because heaven's in the sky, right? So if your soul is evacuating out of your body, it's going down.
Well, yeah. So it has to have like it can still have mass. It just needs to have a mass that is lower than air than the weight of air, like helium.
Yeah. So if
Burp out your helium soul.
But
and
if
it
you had
flows up.
helium, you wouldn't if you burped it out, wouldn't you get heavier?
Yes, you would. That is a great point. If you burped out your helium soul, you would. Sarah has confirmed that dude was going to hell. And he shat out his heavy, dense-ass soul,
Sad study.
weighed down with the sins of his life. And it just sunk down into the depths of Satan's repository.
I
for dense
love
souls.
the image of it just like
Sort of-
plopping off the bed.
It's like dripping down. Oh, man. This is
Okay.
a great point. Well, unless the soul's like a bird and it can fly.
I know. I was thinking about that too. If it has like a little little machine.
soul feathers. It's like, all right, I weigh something, but now that I'm off and I can just.
Yeah, but if
jump
you're
and fly
still
away.
using the law, like the rules, then you would run out of energy, right?
Yeah, I think we're
only
definitely
go so
talking about the
far.
soul right now. So there's maybe some room for just fudging. Like, oh yeah, it's gotta.
But this guy
agree.
was like, I want to use science to
Right.
prove that
So
the human animal has a soul.
Oh, I love this. I love it so much. I had not thought about the fact that the soul would be heavier than air. It would just be another. If it had mass, it's just another physical object, and now it's on the floor. What do we do with it? Or it immediately like flips into whatever plane that is that we think that our souls go to
Yes.
through the interdimensional soul hole.
Oh, I thought you said the ninja dimensional.
I like that too.
into the ninja dimension where souls go. It's awesome.
Holy fucking science!
It's so dope in the ninja dimension. That's where my soul's going. I signed up. I paid $29.99 a month.
Oh my
It's
god.
a good deal. Okay, so that was bad science 100 years ago.
Okay.
But so now I want to talk about good science, about the stuff inside of you. And so in 2014, the word thanatoomicrobiome was coined to describe the microbiome of your body after you die.
Okay.
So when you die, your body changes, obviously. And because your body changes, the microbes in your body basically throw a coup over other microbes. So like some of them have more advantages than the others. And partially this is because they gobble up all the oxygen and then it's an anaerobic environment. So all the anaerobic microbes can live their sweet little microbiome lives and make lots of gases. But one of the things that happens is the temperature goes up in your body. And so there's a 2017 study in the journal Science and Justice that was studying using helicopter flyovers to identify corpses
Right. Yeah.
within like 21 days, I think it was.
They're higher than ambient temperature, like not the temperature of a live person, but not the temperature of the dirt.
Yeah, and so they used pig cadavers to test this out, and turns out that you can get up to 25 degrees Celsius above ambient temperatures.
Wow.
All because
That's
of
pretty hot.
yeah, and so
Maybe that is. I feel like that might be hotter than just a regular live person, depending on what your ambient temperature is.
I mean, a corpse warmer than a regular body?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
But I
if
mean,
you got a lot of bacteria,
isn't that-
bacteriaing it up.
I guess.
I'm pretty bad at converting.
But it might be
Celsius to
ambient temp,
Fahrenheit.
like
It's
it might be the ambient.
77 degrees Fahrenheit.
22 degrees
Celsius.
is
Okay.
77,
Okay, so
77
it's-
Fahrenheit degrees,
So
but
it's like-
above the ambient temperature.
Yeah, that's what the
Wow.
paper said.
Okay,
Maybe I might have misinterpreted it, but
it's hot.
it was enough for helicopters to fly over and see them in the day and the night,
Gotcha.
which is pretty
was-
cool.
Just thinking about finding my dead hamster as a kid and that it wasn't warm. It
Yeah,
was very hard and kind of cold.
yeah. Well, the bacteria hadn't started doing its thing yet.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
there's 4 stages.
Okay.
Of
So initially it's cold.
Yeah,
And
first you
then-
lose all your heat.
there's the fresh stage
Okay.
where you're fresh and then you stiffen.
Yep.
And then there's the next stage is the bloat stage, and that's when all the anaerobic microbes have started to produce carbon dioxide and methane and a bunch of different gases, sulfur, bad smelling stuff. And then you have your, I think it's advanced.
Advanced decomp.
Yeah. And that's the gross part. That's the super
Where you
gross
just
part
turn
where
into,
it's like gush.
That's when the
wetness.
soapification happens too.
the
Yeah.
gushy times.
And then you're dry. And most of the microbes die except for the ones that are thrive in the soil.
Mm.
And then
Until
they go
you
on
basically
to
dirt
live.
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanato microbiome.
Yeah, thanatomicrobiome. Thanatos is
Yeah.
like the Greek
Death
god of death.
Yeah.
So most of your organs are sterile, like they don't have bacteria in them. But when you die, obviously the bacteria colonize. And where do you think the best organ is to get a bunch of microbes?
Like if I wanted to, like in a dead person, if I wanted to find like the most microbes in a dead person.
Yeah, that are coming in that weren't there before. So so the bowels don't count.
Okay.
Right.
Oh.
Your skin.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Skin doesn't count because you already had microbes in your
your
skin.
eyes.
Yeah.
Your gooey eyes.
Not the eyes.
Stomach. That doesn't. No.
I don't know.
It's the liver.
The liver. It's just like super tasty.
Yeah, it's super. It's very well connected and it's big.
Mhm.
So that's where all the microbes go.
That's where they end up.
What a party.
Nom 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 nom. nom.
Oh man, we're all gonna die, you guys.
And then that's gonna happen.
And then and then the microbes that have been living peacefully inside of you symbiotically will fucking eat you if your cat doesn't first.
And then your cat will have the microbes inside of it.
And it will continue
so
to live.
Live on
Yeah.
as a cat.
Well, at least our microbes will continue to live. We do
Yeah.
not. Well, hey, thanks, you guys. It was a good topic.
Went by really quick.
I
I
feel
was like,
like
I have so many more things I want to ask you guys, but yeah.
No, I feel like we could hit this one again.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there was a lot out there.
I mean, it's the biggest mystery, so it's like,
Death. the
I like
biggest mystery.
Googling what happens when you die.
yeah.
I had to really sift through.
Yeah, a lot
the
of
Googled.
things. Yeah.
Yep.
People got some ideas.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about the sort of physiology of near-death experiences, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's
And
really
that
fascinating.
people have such a similar experience from person to person.
And it's usually like in order too. It's but again, it's been credited to the brain just shutting down
Sure,
or
yeah.
like when you're coming back, you know, and just kind of the trauma of what your brain does. But yeah, it's fascinating. I don't know. But it's also like they've studied, you know, when rats are dying, like there's that peak of sudden, like, what's the word? Sorry. Blank, but just activation. Like it's really, really active right before they die. And so that's what they think
Because
also happens with
their
us.
life is flashing before their eyes,
Yeah,
all their rat
essentially.
life, all the good rat,
All
the good rat times.
Yes. Good rat times.
I was
But-
reading once where this woman, she had epilepsy, and so the doctors were just kind of poking and prodding and activated her, what was it, parietal something or another?
That thing.
And she instantly had an out-of-body experience.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
so they kept trying it with her. She's like, what? I'm up here. Over here, guys. It's an ace of hearts.
I see the card.
Is that like to do with like the top-down like map you have in your head for navigation?
maybe.
Yeah, it said it had to do with your awareness of where you are physically gets thrown off, because that's what
Yes.
that area of the brain is responsible for.
Yep.
I have that when I wake up sometimes. Where
Interesting.
I will not know where my body parts are. And I also have sleep paralysis where I can't move.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so like I like
Get that heavy sensation.
and like I'll think that my arms are like in a place that they aren't,
Ooh,
and then I'll be like, oh, they're down there.
that's very confusing.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Normally we have this sort of pretty good sense of proprioception where our body parts are, but in like when you're dreaming, all of your senses get taken over by your brain and aren't your normal senses anymore. But
Right.
it makes sense that that sense would also go that way.
Did that ever scare you to a point where you thought you were gonna die?
No, I've never had like my sleep paralysis is like 5 seconds max,
Okay.
and I knew about it before. Like I had read about it before it happened to me,
Oh, cool.
and then I was like,
you're
"Oh, it's
prepared."
happening."
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear. I don't want to develop sleep paralysis.
What?
Because my friend has it and she gets like the hallucinations.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
and
get
my
that
friend
does too.
And
sometimes.
she like
Yeah.
can't sleep.
yeah.
She- yeah.
It's very scary.
So good luck, Hank. Hopefully you
fine.
have a cool near-death experience someday before you die.
You know, my mom thinks I had one when I got my tendon reattachment surgery because I like told her about the procedure. She was like, "How would you know?" And I think they probably just told me.
Oh,
But she still to this day thinks that I had an out-of-body experience and I like watched them do the operation on me.
but really, they just told you and you were a little drugged up
Yeah.
or something?
Or like I woke up, which I often wake up during, like every time I've been anesthetized except one I've woken up.
No.
Yeah.
I woke up to them taking the tube out.
The tube out?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I woke up during my
Yikes.
wisdom teeth. I woke up during all of my colonoscopies.
Oh, man.
I woke
That's
up
traumatic.
during my tendon reattachment. And yeah, it's it hasn't ever hurt.
That's good.
I haven't ever been in pain. I've just been like, what are you doing to me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And they're like, okay, well, he's awake. So
Let's wrap it up.
somebody push the button that makes him go back to sleep. Anyway, thank you for this episode of Holy Fucking Science. It was really fun.
Yeah.
This stuff is produced by Caitlin Hofmeister and directed. And Stefan is handling our sound. The editor it switches around every episode, so I don't really know. But I would like to thank our guests for being here. Julie Walsh, thank you. Sarah Meismer, Megan Toenyes. I've
you.
been Hank Green, and this has been
Holy fucking science!